Hello all. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. A warm welcome to all of you and thank you for joining us here at Rainbow Secure Cyber Symposium 2022. Thanks to our event sponsors, Step Up Skills, Akashwani, CyberAdX, Cyber Culture, Presafe Technologies, Technology and Marketing Ventures, and community partners BBWIC. This year there were speakers and session panel discussions on current cyber threats, cyber news, best practices, and innovations, everything that can help businesses do business securely. Last year we had great success with over 60 industry speakers and technology visionaries gracing our event and helping us spread knowledge and cyber awareness. I once again thank you all for joining us here. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our president, Nihal Mehta. Nihal is a visionary, and her passion for cybersecurity inspired her to bring about innovative world-class security solutions, which are robust and user-friendly. She has graduated with a BS degrees in math, statistics, and economics, BCA in computer science, master's, MPA, master's in performing arts, diploma in Indian classical dance. Her versatility, simplicity, and creativity has enabled Rainbow Secure great laurels and accolades and a lot more in store for future. With huge round of applause, I welcome Nihal.
Thank you, Zoe. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I hope you all are having a wonderful Saturday. I'm Nehal Mehta, President and co founder of Rainbow Secure. A warm welcome to our honorable panelists and amazing audience. It is a pleasure to have you here at Rainbow Secure Cyber Symposium 2022. Thank you for joining us today and for the previous panel discussion on the recent cyber incidents, lesson to learn, role of human factor, and how to protect business from account takeover attacks and a threat modeling. Rainbow Secure has a vision to make a security practice easy to follow, fun like a game, and be a shield like bulletproof glass. Its end is on a mission to give a small, medium, and enterprise business security solution and services as per their security needs. That also help them comply with compliance regulation of the industry standards. Rainbow Secure has pioneered in developing innovative and patented security product for IM, single sign-on, and multi-layer login solution to help business conduct their business safely and securely. We inspire to work towards to build a secure futures in our endorse to bring about cyber awareness, best practices, and expert take on security. We have initiated our newsletter all about cyber. I encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter and benefit for it. Thank you once again for joining us today and become a part of Rainbow Secure community. We we are we are bring a value and because of all your support. Thank you once again. And now I will request Ayushi to please present our agenda for the panel talk and introduce our today panelist.
Yeah, thank you, Neil ma'am. So, we have an exciting topic for today's panel talk: third party security management. I would like to take this opportunity of introducing our esteemed panelist for today, Sanjay Saxena. He is CEO of CyberEdX. He's a multifaceted business, technology, and community leader who drives strategic growth, leading teams, and negotiating win win solutions. He's also a director and host of weekly radio show Hat Trick with Sanjay, aired on Radio Zindagi in New York, New Jersey, DC, and San Francisco Bay Area. Welcome, Sanjay sir.
Thank you, Ayushi, for this wonderful introduction. I'm excited to be part of this discussion.
Yes, welcome. Our next esteemed panelist for today is Niharika Srivastav, who is the president of CyberEdX. She's an author, security and privacy compliance advisor having 25 plus years of experience. She is also radio host, speaker, MC, panel moderator, women back to work mentor, and STEM advocate. She's a cricket enthusiast, board member of EYCA, East Bay Youth Cricket Association, also an organizer of many events like Stanford Alumni, TICON, Witty, and other Bay Area conferences. She has been nominated for 2018 Women in IT Advocate of the Year Silicon Valley Award. Welcome, Niharika, ma'am.
Thank you, Ayushi. Thank you for this wonderful introduction and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Niharika, ma'am. Our next esteemed panelist for today is Dhaval Shah, who is the CEO of Rainbow Secure. He wears multiple hats of cybersecurity advisor, security architect, inventor, and helps in inventing Geo ACL, Password, passwordless, and smart multi-factor technologies. He brings his amazing experience and technical leadership to Rainbow Secure to innovate remarkable IAM SSO platform that solves login and data security and privacy pain. Welcome, Dhaval sir.
Thank you, IUC, for the great introduction.
Yes. So with this, we begin our panel discussion for today. Thank you for joining us all. I request your permission for beginning.
Whose permission? I mean, I think Mr. Double
Yes.
Shah.
If you guys are, yeah, if you guys are ready, we can begin.
We are all ready. Yes, IUC, we are all
Yeah,
ready.
we are ready, Ayushi.
Yes.
Great job, Ayushi.
Great job.
Thank you.
So, yes, I would like to request Niharika to initiate today's panel talk.
Awesome. So, hello, everyone. So if so we are for us, we are in the Pacific time zone. I'm in California. The time here is 8 o'clock. And I would like to find out from the participants what time zone are they in so they can enter in their chat. In the meantime, we'll get started. So wherever you are, if you are in India, if you are in Japan, East Coast, wherever, a very warm welcome. And thank you to Nehal Mehta and Dhaval Shah and Rainbow Secure for having us today here in this panel discussion. We are going to talk about third party security management. Okay, so we have somebody from Stanford. Wow, awesome. So it looks like in Stanford it's 11 o'clock right now, past 11. Yeah, so we'll get started. And before we get started, we would like to talk about our, I have also a presentation to share, so which I'll share. We'll talk about a book that we have authored, and that book is Cybersecurity for Project Managers. And with our 25 years of experience, we figured out that there were many breaches and incidents that could have been avoided had the project managers been more cyber savvy. And talking to various project management professionals, we also figured out that the language and jargon of cybersecurity is complex and it's intimidating. And that was something which was preventing them to acquire this knowledge. So we thought, why not? So I come from a portfolio delivery, program delivery background, and Sanjay comes from security and sales background. So we thought, why not we collaborate and we simplify this language of cybersecurity? So we have a presentation for you. We'll share that. Before that, Sanjay, would you like to share something about the book? In the meantime, I'll get the presentation going.
Yeah, so as Niharika mentioned that I'm from the security background, I'm CISSP, and Neha is from the management background. And thank God there was something called COVID period. We were at home, and we used to fight a lot about security is more important. She used to say no, the project managers have to deliver on time. They have the tight. They don't have money to do this, so we thought of, okay, let's come in the middle, and so we wrote this book. And what this book is about, that the cybersecurity is important, everybody understands that it is important, but they don't really feel deep inside that it has to be part of the part of their ecosystem. In the beginning itself it has to be. So we made it very easy, very simple, with a lot of diagrams and a lot of illustrations to make it interesting for the project managers. So that's the book is about. And Niharika is presenting the book also. So if you are into project management, or if you are very, very new to the cybersecurity, or if you are still thinking cybersecurity is a difficult topic, I think this is the book for you. Over to you,
Awesome. Thank you.
Niharika.
So, yeah, we do have response on the chat. So we have Retu from Stanford. Welcome. We have Dimple Roy from Zurich, Swaziland. Wow. Judy
Zur-
from Silicon Valley. Then we have Weldon from Amsterdam. And let me know if I'm pronouncing your name right. Reyes Yoon from Toronto, Canada.
awesome. Welcome, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have people from all over the world. Welcome.
Yes, and I
Yes.
is from India. I'm from New Jersey, so I think it's all different part of the world. People are having amazing Saturday, whether it's evening, morning, and afternoon or night. I think they're all excited to hear about what you do, your vast experience you had, and what do you think about compliance. So it's very great here that you have introduced your book for PMs. I think. Uh, we were fortunate to review the book, and it is amazing how you have gathered all the different topics to different viewpoints, aspects, real life best practices incorporated. It's really nice. It is.
Thank you. Thank you, Nehal and Dhaval, for your editorial review. That actually, your inputs were really very valuable for us.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, can you see my screen? Can you see the PDF? Can everyone see the PDF I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Great, awesome. And one more thing I would like to add is that we have many illustrations and cartoons in the book, and we are coming up with the next version, which will be out in next week, where we have added some more cartoons. So I'm sure we really want education, and especially cybersecurity education, not to be boring. We really want it to be interesting. So if you would like to grab the book, it will be available on Amazon in next 1 week. So before we now let's get to the topic. Today we are going to talk about third party security management. And before we jump into that, one more thing which we wanted to share was that earlier what used to happen was that managers and executives, they were not they were not going dive deep into security, and that was not needed also because there were not many attacks or breaches happening. So the managers used to think, oh, I don't need to know security, it's for technical people, architects are there, developers are there, QA is there, there are security team, they will figure out about security. But now the thing, now it's not like that. Earlier, if the management used to say, okay, I don't need to know security, but now the things have different, and we want to share why do we think that the world has changed. So here is my next slide for that. Yes, Sanjay, over to you.
I don't know how old are you, but before 9/11, 2001, do you remember when you used to go to the airport to receive someone or to drop someone? I do remember. We used to go up until the aircraft gate. And then what happened? Then when bad incident happened, 9/11 happened. And after that, then now there's a huge security. Now you have to go 3 hours early if it is an international flight, 2 hours early if it is a domestic flight. Then you have to be in a long line. You have to take everything out of your bag, your belt, your shoes, and then put it back. So it's too much hassle. But it is mandatory, right? We don't want another attack like 9/11. So similarly, in software world, in IT world, there was not security was not a big thing about 20 years ago, maybe 25 years ago. And then there's a lot of breaches started. There are bad people who know more cybersecurity than the architects of your project, my project, and they know how to take advantage of the vulnerabilities that you or your team is going to be introducing. So now there is a huge market for cybersecurity. So then there were some standards like OWASP. There are some certifications that you have to do. And then your project has to be certified. If it is HIPAA, if it is healthcare, then HIPAA, then so many like this. So security is now very important. It has to be part of your project right from the very beginning. Next slide, Niharika. Next slide, Niharika. Yeah. So before we start talking about the third party vulnerabilities, which is the main topic of today's session, let's talk about what is security. A lot of people really don't know what is security, how to define it. So let's define it in a very simple way. So we always give this example of your home. If you are at home, you have to secure your house. But remember, like about hundreds of years ago, when there was no security at the home, like you don't have the security cameras, the sensors and everything at your home, because people were not bad intended. There were not enough thefts, burglary burglaries there before, so your home was secure. But now, Niharika, come to the next slide. But now same house has to be protected from the thieves, right? You have security alarms, you have window sensors, you have security cameras. You can see you have to lock your door really. And if you are at home, then you have to lock your door from inside. If you are going outside, then you have to activate your sensors and camera and so many other things, and you have to lock the door from outside, as I said. So now security is important in current world. Niharika, next. Make it fast.
Don't worry, take your time. Take your time. We have enough time.
Oh no,
Okay.
actually, it takes time to load the next
Okay,
screen.
okay, sure. I like
Okay.
the graphics. I like the way you have laid down. Understanding security in more in a natural way that people can correlate with what they have been seeing in the real world. I like it.
Oh, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Dawal bhai. And that is what we have done in our book also. Like every concept we have explained using a lot of graphics. So when you're securing your home, what do you secure? First of all, your life, right? There are bad people with the guns. And it almost happened 6 months ago in my house. It's a long story. I don't want to tell it, but about 3 a.m. in the night, my wife heard a big noise thanks to the coffee table that was weak enough to be broken when somebody was trying to get something from the top and stood on it. So it broke and there was a big noise. So my wife woke up and then we figured out there's some theft is going on in our house. So we called police and then we were safe. So what do we secure in our house? We secure our life first, then the valuable things like mm, the social security number, your expensive materials like your electronics or jewelries, etc. But when it comes to IT security, what are the things that we secure? First of all, we secure the devices. Devices comes under the category of hardware. So what is the hardware? First of all, your mobile phone, if it is storing some data from your from your organization. Then your computers, your servers, your network devices, all those things are have to be up and running all the time. So you have to secure that. If so, for example, if your router is damaged, then what will happen? Then your website will not be working. So that has to be secured. Then what? Number two is software. Your software has to be up and running all the time. If there is some, if they kill the process, if somebody kills the process of the software instance that is running, then your website is not there, and your operations, your operation is like impacted. Then what? Third thing is location. Location is in the sense like if your servers are in some building, then you have to make sure that it is always secure, it's not being burned by the people. And number four is the most important thing, which is like easily available for the people to make manipulation of data. So data like your confidential data has to be confident. It should not be shared. For example, your social security number, your bank account details, and this is important information. And also the data should not be tampered when it is being stored in your database, or it is being in the transit. So this is the things that we save. So security. So security is, Neha, can we go to the next
Yeah.
slide, please?
Yeah.
So, how do we secure all these things? We put in technology like antivirus, intelligent management, firewalls, etc. And then we have processes like guidelines, protocols that, how do we manage the data within the organization, and then giving training to the people who are handling the data and using some best practices. These are the processes. And then we have some practices like doing some audits, doing some drills, and we have some policies to follow. And then third party management, especially this is the topic of today, so we will talk about that. So how do we define cybersecurity? Very simple: implementing technology, processes, and practices to safeguard your valuable things. So that's the simple definition of cybersecurity. Niharika. The second most important thing, which is privacy. So security and privacy usually are taken as this one thing, but they are not same. However, it's okay to use security for everything. So privacy, and at the end of this definition, I'll also give you the definition of the difference between the security and privacy. So let's talk about your house again. You have to maintain privacy, right? You don't want people from outside to know what you are doing in your bedroom, and what are your valuables inside, so that they can take advantage of that. Or, what are you watching on TV? So you have tinted glass, you have curtains, you have doors to safeguard that, to protect your privacy. Niharika. I just woke up, so I'm not able to, oh, so it looks like there is one more slide in between. Okay, so there is no. Okay, so similarly, we have in your organization, you have some data that has to be the private and secure. So now let's see what is the difference between security and privacy. So privacy, first of all, the definition before coming to this difference is privacy is hiding your data from people who do not belong it. So for example, your healthcare information, it should not be shared with your friends, but it has to be shared with some people. For example, nurses, your hospital, your doctor. So that's privacy, that giving your information to people only to those who ultimately need it, otherwise keeping it private. Let's see the difference between these two. So we are taking this example. Same, in one house there are two girls who are not related to each other, who are not friends to each other, living in two rooms. Lily lives in room A, Mary lives in room B. So security is both of them's responsibility, that nobody should be coming and breaking the house, breaking the window, or taking their common things, for example, things from their kitchen, or their own things, like, for example, their own watch, maybe other valuables like jewelries or anything. So security is securing the whole thing for all of them. So that's security. Now we are moving on to the privacy. Privacy is at the right hand side. So it's the same example. Both Lily and Mary are living in two different rooms. So Lily has some information, for example, her social security number, or some, like, she's dating somebody. She doesn't want Mary in the room B to know about it. So she is keeping that information private to herself. Similarly, Mary has some information that she doesn't want Lily to know about. So she's keeping it private. So privacy is in exposing your information only to the people who really need it, or whom you feel comfortable with should be given it to. So that's the privacy. So privacy is keeping your personal critical information to yourself or to the people you earnestly trust. So this is the difference between security and privacy. In any case, if still you don't understand security and privacy, it's very important that we talk about it, because they are two different things. And if you are in IT security world, they will be used so frequently, that you have to be aware of it. Thank you, Dimple. Niharika.
Thank you, Sanjay.
Another most important fundamental thing you have to know in cyber security world, is CIO Triangle. And CIO Triangle is three things. C is confidentiality, I is integrity, A is availability. So what is confidentiality? It's ensuring that the data is not disclosed to unauthorized people or system. So for example, if your data is in the database, your DBA should not be able to see it. If it is being used over the internet, then hackers should not be able to see it. Your confident data has to be confident. Integrity is your data should not be modified or deleted. So similar example, if your data is in the database, which we call data is at rest, it should not be modified by the DBA or any admin guy or anybody who has access to the database. Second thing, if it is being transited, like it is being used over the internet, then it should not be modified by the hackers. So that's integrity. Availability is the third, which is most important thing, is that your data has to be always available. When we say data, that means your application also has to be available. Take an example. You are very sick, and you are now trying to get an appointment on your phone from the hospital, and then hospital apps are not available. So that means data is also not available. That means you cannot book an appointment. Now you call them. Nowadays, even your phone system is also part of the software IT infrastructure. So even you cannot take an appointment by giving a call. So that is not available. So three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These are the most fundamental things after security and privacy. And we have to know all these five things. And then let's go from here. Niharika, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. So, we wanted to do a quick refresher of these concepts before we jump into the topic today, which is third party security management. So, what is third party? Third party is a vendor. It can be a person or company that provides services for your company or your customers. And it can be a service, or it also can be a product which you are using in your company. And this is some data. This is a graph, and this was a survey which was done by a company called Cyber Edge. And what does it say? That now the managers and executives, they strongly agree that the cybersecurity incidents involving vendors is increasing, and they also agree that cybersecurity incidents involving vendors is difficult to manage. So now it's very important for executives, managers, and also individual contributors to understand and make sure that all the partners follow the best cybersecurity practices. And we have some examples also to share. So it's possible that your company is doing everything correctly, like they have all the policies, procedures, trainings, tools and technologies in process to secure the systems, to secure the products, but your vendors are not. And if your partners, third parties, if they are not adhering to all the rules, what will happen? There will be still security gaps which can make your organization and your services and products vulnerable. So here are some examples. Earlier this year, Okta, which is a software security company based out in California, was breached, and that happened through a third party service company. And it eventually compromised the data of more than 350 corporate customers. And we all know about this infamous solar winds that breach that happened in late 2020, where a third party software supplier was breached. And what the attackers did was they attached a malware to the software updates. So when the client did the software update, that malware got passed into their systems. And with this malware, the hackers monitored the internal operations of over 200 organizations worldwide. And there were some federal agencies also part of this organizations, the list of organizations.
Yes, I think it was a very great challenge that people were, always, worried about what else do I have in my organization network that's lurking, and we don't even know about it. So when that happened, the solar winds, people were like, panicked a lot because you trusted that organization, and now you got a supply chain attack from that. So what piece of other code, and then their fears really came true in form of log4j. It was an innocent library, right, the developers were using for logging and debugging and all those things, and that came out, it was on like more far reaching than even the solar winds, because log4j was like almost every vertical organizations of small and big size, they got impacted. So it's I think very relevant topic to mention here, that yes, the third party risk is always a great a threat for your business. But now I think let's hear from you, how can we manage it.
That's a great point, Dhaval. It's especially Log4j because we've been using these Java libraries for more than 20 years. And now having a vulnerability there, which was, and I remember it was like Christmas break, people were on vacation.
Yes.
This vulnerability was found out, and they just have to leave their vacation aside and come back and then find out where exactly Log4j is used. Because these big organizations, it's very difficult, what are the libraries, what are the third party tools to have an inventory of everything and then finding out where exactly this library is.
Yeah, a similar thing happened with that Megcart or Megcart or something, that the e-commerce plugin that people were using in their websites. I think again that had vulnerability, and I think again that was harvesting people's obviously the credit card details and other personal details. So again, that was their third-party risk. And one more risk is bubbling, but people are not much aware, is the captcha that we normally use at many of the websites, right? There is
Mhm.
now a service out there on the dark web by hackers that it's called captcha solving as a service. So if you think that if you are deploying captcha just to make sure your user is not a robot, it's not working anymore. And this I learned from one of the CISA, high level meetup we had, where someone demonstrated live and they gave an example that, hey, how hackers are deploying this, captcha solving as a service. So when other hacker tries to attack you, there are a group of hackers who will solve this captcha in real time, either by learning how it works, interjecting the script, or helping them solve in real time. So they're collaborating in attacking you as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah, it's good information, and I also like this the blogs you have on at rainbowsecure.com where you are sharing this news regularly. So all the participants, if you are following rainbowsecure.com/blogs, you'll get a lot of information on the latest attacks and breaches and how to prevent in these blogs. So thank you. These were great inputs, Dhaval. So here, what we have tried to create a framework of what you can do to make sure that how these vendor security risks are managed. So there are four areas to consider in vendor selection and vendor management. And this is first is to look at vendors' expertise, and we'll dive deep in detail in this. Second is vendors' history. Third is vendors' location. And fourth is vendor management, which involves the monitoring of the vendors and vendors' employees when they are on board. So now let's go deep into vendors' expertise. So when now it's the process, like there is some project coming up, you have to hire a vendor, or you have to look at a new product which is a vendor product. The things to see in when you are talking to vendors for selection. So first thing is whether they have, number one is on the left hand side, you'll see security management program and training. So the first thing to find out is whether the vendor company has a security management program and training in place, because if they do have this in place, this means that they take security seriously. That means security is a priority for them. Number two is compliance. So, for example, if you are in healthcare industry, your company has to comply with HIPAA compliance. So, if you're going with a vendor, make sure that they also have HIPAA compliance. So that way you don't end up teaching HIPAA to them. So that you are focused on getting the project done and not ensuring whether they know HIPAA or not. And HIPAA is very important for anyone in healthcare industry. So HIPAA is for healthcare. And then if you are in finance industry and dealing with credit card data, then it is PCI DSS. Or if you are in some other industry, there are like industry based regulations, location based regulations. So find out if they comply with the compliance which your organization has to abide by. So HIPAA is one example. If you are dealing with data of European Union residents, and we have many participants from EU here, we have to make sure that the companies, the vendor, they comply with GDPR. So during the vendor selection process, make sure that they comply with the regulations, laws and regulations your company, your organization has to abide by. Third is audit reports and certifications. So during vendor selection, look at their audit reports. If they got some audit done and if they have some certifications in place, which is required for your business. So there is one audit which is done, and that is SOC 2. SOC 2 audit has to be done by the service organizations here in USA, also in other countries, where if the data is stored on cloud, the vendor company or the product company has to show that that data is secure. So again, check if they have that particular audit report. Look at the reports, look at the certifications. If you are doing a vendor selection process, work with your security team and work with your vendor management team to ensure that you get all this their certificates and reports. Number four is tools and technologies. So they can be secure. Vendor company can say, oh yes, we have the management program, we have the training in place, we have these audit reports, but do they have the tools required to do the testing? So for example, do they have the tools to do security code review? Or are they doing the vulnerability assessment, or are they doing vulnerability scans? And if they have the tools in place, that shows yes, this is being done regularly. It's not just what they are only talking about, they are really implementing and practicing that. So number four, tools and technologies. And number five is incident response. So why is incident response important? So you may have everything in place, process, people, technologies, but what if something happens? Because hackers are smart. They are upskilling themselves every day to come up with something new tool to breach or cause some other incident or attack. So even something like this happens, the vendor should have some process or mechanism to respond to that incident, so that if it happens with when they are dealing with your data, they are prepared and they get onto it ASAP. So here you'll see some questions you can ask. So there is a manager and vendor on the left hand side, manager on the right hand side, and the manager is asking, okay, what frameworks have you used in the past? Do your developers implement secure coding practices? Have you implemented HIPAA, GDPR? So, having these questions either in the questionnaire and getting their answers will give you an idea of where they are as far as the security posture, as far as their security posture goes. So, first was vendors' expertise, and these are some areas to consider as far as vendors' expertise go. Next is vendors' history. So again, this is very important. When you are asking questions, find out if they can share some testimonials and case studies, which is very important, because if it's a critical project, you may also like to consult their clients and find out how the experience of other clients was working with this vendor. So number one is other clients' testimonials and case studies. Number two is clients in your industry. So if the vendor has already worked with clients in your industry, you'll get an idea that they have experience working with the data which is similar to your data. And then they also have experience with the compliance regulations which your company has to abide by. Number third is have previous experience in your company. So if they have worked with some other manager or leader in your company, then it's easy. You can talk to the manager and find out what the experience was working with this vendor. Number four is what is their track record for similar project. So if you are implementing a project, say data migration, and if they already have experience with data migration, this will give you a confidence that they are aware of what security and privacy concerns can come in when there is a data migration or a project of that sort happens. And fifth is again audit history and results, which is if they have done the audits in the past, what were the results and when was the audit done last. So here, what a manager should make sure that they checks with other clients of the vendor for references. So these are the five things to consider, five key things which we thought would be good when we are in the vendor selection process.
Dhaval bhai, anything that you would like to share your
No, I think
experience?
so far looks good. That the one thing particular that came into my mind when we were discussing about the selecting a right vendor. So today, what happens is that most of the vendors do use third-party libraries themselves, right? For a client, vendor is a third party, but now they are also using a different libraries and they are also hiring a consultants. So I think what, according to me, is the need of the hour, and some companies are now doing it, is that whether it's an existing vendor or a completely new vendor, what they call it is a periodic checks they do with the both the service vendor and the solutions vendor, because with these companies like SolarWinds, right, they were the trusted vendor, right? But what happened that with every release now that comes in, right? So what people do, even with Microsoft, people used to always test out their patches in a non-prod environment, right, and monitor them. Security team will just check it out, everything. But now people are doing that more proactively when
Mhm.
it is from non-Microsoft vendors as well. Now that security team will check out the behavior of the tools and solutions they are having, and any new release, if there's any new ports is trying to connect, any new data is trying to exfiltrate or do something else. So any abnormal behavior, that is also now been monitored even from the existing vendor. So now it's more of like, it's the not much now difference whether you are an established vendor or a new vendor. They are gonna thoroughly keep an eye on you. So that's what the new trend is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and again, you talked about third party. Now there is fourth party, whereas
Yes.
because third party is using another party or using
Yes.
a third party product.
Hmm.
Great point.
Yeah.
Good insights, Dhaval bhai.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last thing in vendor selection, which we have to consider, is location. Where is the vendor located? So I'm not sure whether, but in healthcare there is this Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and they do not want Medicare data to go outside of US. So if your project will be dealing with Medicare data, and your vendor is offshore, then you may not be able to share data with the vendor. So just find out what is the location of the vendor. Is the vendor on site or off site? If the vendor is on site, then you can monitor whether they are following secure practices. But if they are off site, then you have to do some surprise visits to see if they are following the secure practices. And also, when we are talking about location, find out if they know what compliance regulations are there in your country, because HIPAA applies to US, but it doesn't apply to many other countries. So there, they should know, and they should know how to implement the compliance regulations which you have to abide by. So these are some things which we wanted to share in vendor selection. Is vendor expertise, vendor expertise, vendor history, and vendor location, and these are some key points to check. So now the vendor is on board. Now what? The vendor is on board. So here, what Dhaval said, that it is important to have regular reviews and audits in place. So, and this is like vendor management and monitoring, to make sure that there are reviews in place, audits are in place, these access reviews are done. So, for example, if a vendor's employee has left the company, make sure that the access is revoked. And I worked in a big health insurance company where this was not happening regularly. So I used to have the call with the point of contact executive in the vendors team every 2 weeks. And then that's where, that was the point when they used to terminate the contract. But after that, we made it very clear and strict that as soon as a vendor employee leaves the vendor's company, all the access is terminated now, which is happening regularly. But that was something, a slack that happened in the past. Also, do a vendor site visit, do surprise checks to make sure that they are following the best practices. And fifth is vendor management policy. So it's not that once the policy is done, it's done and done. No, you have to make sure that you are updating the policy. So again, here we have a picture which says that the manager is at the with the offsite team and asking for the reports. So these are the some things in vendor management we thought that these are important to consider. Now, Dhaval, would you like to provide any inputs, or participants, if you have any questions, please let us know.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing here. This is very important that you just mentioned about vendor access reviews. And fortunately, Rainbow Secure had thought about that aspect of the user identity, because it's not just your employees, but your consultants, your contractors, and so Rainbow Secure do offer integration with we provide an API that you can bind with your HR systems, or we can help you set up a automated job that as soon as it signals your HR system that in or your project management system, as soon as it signals that the employee access has like it is now going out of payroll, or is going on a vacation, or his contract is no longer active, then we are now providing an automation. So that automation takes care of removing the access. So as soon as that event happens, the trigger get raised, and that trigger is gonna make sure that at least the access part is taken care of. Because earlier, you guys, everyone was most of the time working from the office, right? There was occasionally remote work was going on, but now in hybrid work environment, right, you are still having 3 days people mostly work from home and 2 days from the office. So it doesn't make sense for you to wait for even a single minute when the employee access is no longer required. And that is like when you are using tons of cloud services. So apart from your on-prem applications you have, there are tons of cloud applications out there that your resources that you have hired would have access to. So both for the sake of security, integrity of the system, and also to protect the data privacy. Any like even by mistake someone exposes the data, then that will be a huge trouble. So I really like this point you highlighted, that in the vendor management, you have to make sure that the access reviews are regularly done. So automation, and even when you are not automating, still this is something that it has to be taken care on almost immediate basis.
Thank you, Dhaval. Yeah, and if the vendor can show that they are using tools like Rainbow Secure to secure authentication and also for vendor access reviews, terminating the employees, this will definitely give them an edge when they are in their vendors selection process.
Yes.
So I had one question, Niharika, and when you mentioned that, about the book Cybersecurity for Project Managers, I wanted to know what motivated you to write the book.
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So, as I said, I come from projects, programs, and portfolio delivery background. And when I looked at, in retrospect, when I looked at various breaches and incidents that happened in the companies where there I work, security incidents that happened, I figured out that had project managers been more cyber savvy, those things could have been avoided. And but what was preventing project managers from being cyber savvy or acquiring this knowledge? And it was the fact that this, field of cybersecurity, it's like complex. It sounds complex and intimidating. So my background being portfolio delivery, and then I talked to Sanjay, and we collaborated. Sanjay comes from security background. We collaborated, and we thought, why not we simplify this subject so that it's easy to understand? And that was the motivation to write this book, to simplify this subject. And our mission is to simplify it and make it fun so that more and more people get on board to secure the companies which are now facing the threats from hackers and get into this field.
Yeah, I would like to add here, Ayushi, that we spoke to about 200 project managers. And out of 200, I would say about 160, I mean, roughly I'm giving a figure, they were very hesitant to talk about cybersecurity because they cannot define cybersecurity. Oh, there is some security. Yeah, I know some encryption. I know some decryption has to be some tool. We have architect here to talk about that. So we are hiring very very talented cybersecurity person. So this is how they talk, right? But when it comes to scheduling, you know, the project manager's job is managing the scope, time, and budget. If you don't have budget, then how can if you don't understand cybersecurity deep inside, then how can you have that budget approved from your bosses? So that's why we thought that let's simplify for project managers.
Right.
Yeah.
And as Sanjay said, our mission is to shift security left.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Thank
And
you, sir. Thank you. Because it would really be helpful. I would request everyone who has not read the book to go ahead and, ensure that you read the book so that you get the insights which Niharika ma'am and Sanjay sir have mentioned. And I had another
Ayush,
question. Yes.
Ayushi,
Sorry.
one more thing I will add here. So
Yeah, sure.
we got it reviewed this book by the founder of Intuit. I'm sure everybody knows Intuit. You must have used their products. It's a $90 billion company. We were lucky enough to meet him and then get it reviewed by him. So he gave us some more insights that we should be making it even more simplified and interesting. So we are adding few more things into it. So don't buy the book for another 7 days. And then even if you buy, we'll push the latest version soon. So about 7 days, within 7 days, we'll have the latest version. Yeah, Ayushi, over to you. You're on mute.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Definitely, it would help. Yeah, it would help everyone, so that people who are part of cybersecurity and who are interested in, reading about it, the simpler version would definitely be something which will be interesting, fun, along with the knowledge which comes, and things which people should be aware, be it
Yeah,
managers or you can say normal folks like me who are cybersecurity enthusiasts. We are not managers yet, but one day we will be there. So yeah, it will be helpful for all of us. So yeah,
yeah.
and I had another question. So the thing is, we looked at different factors which a company should look at when talking about vendor selection. So, I would request you to elaborate a little bit on the role of laws and regulations and certifications in when it comes to vendor selection. What role do they play when it comes to vendor selection?
Yeah, I'll take this question. I also have a slide. So this is the slide which Sanjay was talking about: time, cost, and scope, where a leader, a project manager has to make sure that security is a part of this triple constraints that managers have to manage. Yeah, so I have a slide for this certifications. So what happens is that there are some questions that are in mind, that okay, what industry regulations should I know, or what country specific regulations I should be aware of. So here I have put some regulations which are based upon what industry you are in or what data you are working with. So there is India IT Act, which is it has some controls and it has some guidelines that companies in India have to follow. Then second one is PCI DSS. So PCI DSS is for those companies that deal with credit card data, and it can be a bank or it can be a retailer. So if your company is dealing with credit card data, you have to make sure that you are following PCI DSS standard, and as per that standard, you have to not only secure the credit card data but also the infrastructure where it's hosted. Then, if you are in Australia, there is Australian privacy principles. It's a set of principles that companies have to abide by to make sure that the data of Australian people is kept secure. Fourth is GDPR, which is for European Union residents. So, any company anywhere in the world, if you are dealing with data of EU citizens, you have to abide by GDPR. Otherwise, there are hefty fines they have to pay. Then fifth is NIST. So this is a set of standards, set of controls, which federal companies in USA have to abide by. But this will definitely is going to expand to other organizations as well. Sixth is HIPAA. So HIPAA compliance, any company dealing with protected health information. What is protected health information? This is the medical information. It's the data of patient which hospitals and health insurance companies have to deal with. That data is very sensitive and it must not reach the hands of bad people. And again, if a company does not comply with HIPAA, they have to pay hefty fines. And then last is in the center, it's S of SOX. SOX is for the companies which are publicly traded in US. So these are some compliance regulations which what we can do is we can work with the legal team to find out what compliance regulations we have to comply by, based upon industry, based upon data, based upon where we are located, whom we are dealing with, what data we are dealing with. And good question, Ayushi.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you. Yes, sure, sir. You can continue.
no, no, go ahead.
So Sanjay, this is what I wanted to talk. Do you want to add something here in compliance?
No, this is fine. Compliance, you took care of it, and it's 9 o'clock, so we'll give it to Double Bhai.
Yes,
Yeah, I see. Do you have
yes,
more
definitely.
questions? Yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, we can answer.
Yeah, I had one last question before we, conclude today's session. The question was regarding your advice, your piece of advice for the leaders out there who are working in this field and dealing with issues related to third-party security management. So, what would be your advice? We can go one by one. First, Niharika ma'am, if you want, we can go with you, and then we can go with Sanjay sir, and then Dhaval sir.
Yeah, I can start on this. So the first of all, for the leaders, right, on the top management, that assign budget
Yes.
for security tools and services. So they have to know that it's not only the business, but you have to secure the business. So they have to assign the budget money. Number two, have enough time. Don't be in a hurry to deploy. That December 1st is December 25 is coming. January 1st, it has to be there. So have enough time, because if you're deploying something which is not secure, then you're going to lose business rather than you know earning money from the business. Okay, for the leaders, right? And then keep an eye on the latest security trends. So what is going on, the latest, every single day hackers are learning new things. If you apply a patches, they know what has been applied and then how to you know work around it. And number four, I say is training, training, training. Let me give an example. Something called social engineering, right? If you secured everything and everything is intact, but your employees have what is called username and password, right? If you get a mail from your boss saying, hey, can you click on this link immediately, and then you click on that link and you end up giving some information which is not supposed to be given, and you finally learn that that was not your boss, it was a hacker, right? So there are four ways social engineering is done. Number one is phishing means you get an email. Number two is wishing, that means you get a voice like a phone call from somebody, your boss or maybe some administrator, and then you end up giving some information. And then there is something called text message.
Smishing.
Yeah, smishing, that's called, right? And number four is called QR code. You get an email with the QR code, you say, hey, just scan it from your phone, and then you end up giving that information. So social engineering, right? So training has to be given to employees a lot, but there is a product called Rainbow Secure that can help a lot with social engineering, these kind of things. I'm not an expert on that, but I'll have Dhaval Bhai to give some insights about how this Rainbow Secure is helping with this part, social engineering.
Yes, yeah, first of all, yes, I would like to say agree with what you just mentioned, that important aspect is to allocate time and money for sourcing the relevant and new solutions that address newer threats out there. Second, yes, you have to be yourself make aware of what's coming within your role, and if not, then what extra step you can take to make sure your business is resilient enough. And you can take that insight from the book that Sanjay and Niharika has written. And the third, yes, also invest some time in exploring new solutions like Rainbow Secure, because as Sanjay mentioned, Rainbow Secure is now helping the businesses tackle the most modern threats out there, that is more on driven by the social engineering angle, where hackers try to make you convince you to click on certain link and get your download the malware. And but with Rainbow Secure, it's a graphical interactive technology. So even though somebody is trying to play smart and grab your textual information like credentials, but with graphical interaction that we have, they have no chance to gain anything meaningful out of their actions. Second, the smishing attacks and brute force attacks, the password reuse attacks, those are other threats also business faces day to day. Because imagine now Black Friday is coming, right? So if you want to bet how many employees are not gonna reuse the same password they are using at their workplace, they're just gonna use almost the same password when they try to get those nice deals they got. And what hackers do, rather than directly attacking someone like PayPal or Venmo or Robinhood or any other work platforms as well, they go after those weaker sites that are just popped up, and they barely have enough anything infrastructure, and they grab those credentials from those sites, and then it's very easy for them to even break into your employees accounts, even within less than 5 attempts sometimes, because they know that some or other variation these guys are using, and they will go in. So here comes the Rainbow Secure to the rescue, where all the stolen credentials from past breaches are no longer harmful to your business, and your business liability is also getting reduced from day one, because now your insurance companies know that anything that happened in the past or even in the future on other websites, this business will not bring more liability on what I'm insuring them, right? So from the day Universal Secure comes for a business, it's gonna ensure that user identities are secure and they have clear cut timeline of defining liability. So I would say that yes, the main here aspect about securing the business, and even you know how to even be compliant, managers and even other roles within an organization should actually explore more. They can talk to Niharika, and they can talk to us, and we are here to help them actively. And it's just not about selling something; it's more about helping the business know the right thing and take the right actions here.
Awesome.
True.
Thank
I
you,
see you
Dhaval
have any
sir.
more
Thank you,
questions,
Sanjay sir.
anything.
Niharika ma'am, would you like to add something to that?
Yeah, they have covered it all, Dhaval and Sanjay. I would just add that security is not an afterthought. Think about security right at the beginning.
Yes, you are right. Yeah, because you cannot um, when somebody's already in the door, and then you are just trying to remediate it, right? Just like they say ransomware attack. Now they have already exfiltrated your data, right? They were already in your organization, and they had access to those drives, and they got your data. Other than that, you could have better invested in tools that would ensure that your data on cloud has been secured by stronger multi-layer credentials, and also you have had a good training given to the employees where they would follow certain process before they share data with someone, because it's like no matter how strong tools you use, but if your employee by mistake emails unencrypted data, unmasked data to someone, then that's why there are always we call it security collaboration, right? So understanding the right thing to do also is very, very important. In addition to the better tools and options we give to the employees, we can help them reduce their mistakes, right? Just like say we can help them just get very colorful or creative 4 or 5 digit long credential, rather than we force them to have 20 character credentials. But now after we help them, actually next step where employee has to learn, right, that hey, if somebody is asking me certain sensitive data, let me double check, let me cross verify. And if I'm sharing something, always share through secure mechanism. That secure mechanism may be your VPN secured by different tools, or it might be a secure FTP where you send them, right? So it's due procedure has to be followed for doing that.
Right.
Yes, definitely. And it was very good listening to the entire panel today. It has been an incredible day here today at Rainbow Secure Symposium 2022. I would like to thank all our esteemed panelists and audience for joining us. We had an amazing and insightful session on all our Saturdays of October with highly experienced and versatile industry leaders who humbly shared their real life stories, lessons, and learning they had from them. Thanks to our event sponsors, Step Up Skills, Akashwani, CyberEdX, Cyberculture, PreSafe Technology and Marketing Ventures, community partners, BBWIC, and last but not the least, Rainbow Cyber Secure team. They worked so hard to bring us together and make this event successful. We appreciate your efforts. Thank you, team. Thank you, sir. Thank you all for joining in.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank you.
meet in the
Thank you
networking
everyone
lounge.
here for taking your time on Saturday morning or evening or night time, and to make this successful. We
Mm,
really appreciate it. Yeah. And thank you. I say
awesome.
thank you, Niharika. Thank you,
Thank
Sanjay.
you, Dhavalji, for this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ayushi.
Dhaval.
See
Thank you,
you.
Ayushi.
Thank you.